Hi, so we're back for What's on Cornwall, which is our little series where we're talking about different content creators, businesses, people, clubs, all the way through Cornwall and how you can find them, because, as I say throughout this series, everything seems to be 8 miles apart, and we can just... half the things I didn't know were there until I stumbled across people, so I'm hoping to promote different people. And I'm joined today by Sam and Josh from Happy Piranha.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Not too bad, yeah.
Not too bad.
All the better for being here.
Such a nice young man.
Oh, we've cast our eyes upon your lovely face.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to cut straight to the chase. What is Happy Piranha?
It's a weird place.
Yeah.
So we started off as a gift shop, basically, and trying to just sell stuff mainly that we kind of had a bit of an interest in. So we started off with like board games, anime, geeky stuff, Dungeons and Dragons bits and pieces, and then just things that we thought if we saw we might like buying, because we thought hopefully someone else might want to buy it too.
Well, so and it is a shop that can be found in Truro.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, I know because I've been coming in there for a little while now, and got to know you guys a little bit better. And obviously, like, Cornwall is a huge county, but it's not as demographically together as somewhere like London, Birmingham, Nottingham, like the major cities where you can walk 10 minutes and find another shop and then possibly another shop, or you've got the demographic of people. We don't have that. We have Truro is like our only city, then everything is miles and miles away. Which, what I think is amazing about you guys is you guys have managed to create a community around your shop, which I think has caused an amazing rise in people wanting that kind of alternative or nerdy like pop culture stuff. And I think you're one of the only places around that's providing that. Which you said that this is because it's things that you wanted to do, but where did it really start? Like, how did Happy Piranha really come about? Because obviously you two are local lads from the local area,
local
and like
lads.
Yeah, exactly. But like, obviously you weren't always Happy Piranha. Like, you obviously
It started well with you with your Etsy shop, didn't it? Really?
Yeah. So weirdly, one of the places I ended up working, we started making candles.
Yeah.
And we're doing them like just vanilla and jasmine, stuff like that. And then I just started making candles with just themed ones. So I thought, hang on, like, something that smells like a scene from a movie, or not that kind of movie.
Wasn't going to say anything. This is your video. I'm going to be as polite as possible, but I will. We'll put a link in the description of whatever movie you were thinking of.
But yeah, just themed on books or films, or like Lord of the Rings or whatever. Obviously inspired by stuff like that, really. And then that kind of geeky, nerdy kind of theme led to us starting to look at other products we could add on. And then we found a little tired old shop in Truro and thought, hang on, let's try and make this a bit more of like a fun place.
Nice. So did that start? So you said it started as an Etsy store. Was that selling to local people, or is that like selling worldwide? And then you were like, okay, well, actually, there's a market for it here in Truro.
Yeah, weirdly, most of our sales on Etsy started off going to the States, slowly like to America.
Oh, really? Nice.
And it started off largely from what's called Bookstagram on Instagram, which I had no idea existed until we started selling candles on Etsy. And then people were asking for ones inspired by books and their favourite characters and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that's
pretty cool.
Yeah, most of it started going to America before we kind of went to Truro, which is weird.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, that's actually really kind of cool that you had this market, especially for like themed candles. Because obviously, like, I know Happy Piranha now. I know that you've got everything from like, resin and glasswork right the way through to jewellery, as well as like WizKids miniatures to board games. Like, you've got such a wide array of, like, even right down to like the Bioworld hats, which is another thing that I wear a lot of in my day-to-day life. But like, the fact that you came from just making candles to then
the U-turn.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that it started like waxworking, then to themed waxworking, and then being like, well, actually, let's go from there. So, in terms of Happy Piranha, then obviously, like, you've moved into Truro, and do you still sell worldwide then?
We do. So all our stuff on our website and Etsy still ships abroad. We've found more of it goes to the UK now as well, though.
Yeah.
Just because we kind of, as we've been going along, we've slowly been getting noticed a bit more. And the hard thing, I think, is just to get noticed, even by local people. We still get people going, "Had no idea you were here."
every day it's like, how long have you been here? I live in Truro, and it's like 7 years now, and they're like, oh, really?
And actually, that's kind of one of the reasons that I want to do these videos in this series, is that it's quite easy to miss things in Cornwall. And obviously, like, unless you've got Waterstones, which is on basically a major road, major crossroads in the centre of town, opposite another major store, like where Wilco's was in Waterstones. You could say that to anybody and they'll know exactly where it is, unless you're the cathedral and everybody knows where that is. But you guys up on Pydar Street, which is one of the main roads, yes, but you're right at the very top of it. So you're like the last shop before you hit fish and chips and then a restaurant, which actually, unless you're going up to Next, is it Next or is it New Look? New Look. Yeah. So New Look TK Maxx, which is obviously very specified shopping. You're going up there for clothes or for household items and stuff. And then you've obviously got Lush as well across there. But then you've got just this absolute trove, because it's not just Happy Piranha now, is it? You've also got a few businesses that have spanned from that, and you've got the adjoining shops.
Yeah.
So tell us about those.
So we started off with Happy Piranha, and it's quite like a small little shop that looks like it's being crushed in between two other buildings either side.
Yep.
And then we used to have the Blue Wing Gallery next to Happy Piranha, and they vacated, so we were left with not just one empty shop on one side, but squashed in between two empty shops. So we decided to take on what used to be Blue Wing Gallery and turn that into Garden Geeks, which is like a plant shop. Because we're just kind of, it's another thing we think people get like really into, and we kind of like people just having an interest in something. So that's a houseplant shop at the moment. So we do, basically plants, cacti, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And then next door, which used to be at Edinburgh Woolen Mills, which is a big building, we never thought we'd be able to take it on really, because it's so big and there's the cost.
Truro rates are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep.
But luckily it's been left alone long enough that we're able to negotiate moving in there, and we've kind of eventually turned it into like a space where people can meet up as a cafe during the day, but then like a club venue in the evening where people can carry on doing their interest but in a community environment.
Yeah. And obviously, like, now that you are open, and it's something we were chatting about before we start recording, was that you weren't doing like a grand opening, when you weren't doing anything like that, and you guys have actually taken it quite slow with the opening of the Piranha Cafe, which a lot of businesses we see like a rush, get it open, big grand opening. And actually for you guys, you've played it really safe. You've just gone, right, we're just going to put money into it when we can put into it, rather than, risking it all. And you've just allowed the business to slowly feed into each other, which has been really fun to see. But especially now that the cafe is open, and obviously we've done a few things there, you've hosted a few events there, Tags now host there as well, as along with other like gaming nights and groups. And there is this amazing space that is themed on so many different nerd culture subcategories of just nerd heaven. It's really, really impressive to see. And obviously I can't like throw pictures up into this video or anything, but like what I will do is...
Why not?
Because the computer's all the way over there, and I just wanted to focus on chatting. But what I can do is we can make sure that there's like a link below to like the gallery that you've got on the website, and to things like your social media, and we can make sure that that will go into the descriptions below.
It's been fun as well, just people not knowing what's behind the door as well, and just letting them open and going, oh god, what the hell's this?
And that's it as well, because it is, from the outside it just looks like a black door in a house on a high street, and now you've got things in the window, so it kind of makes more sense. But like up until recently, it was just like, that's a very ominous door. That's a very strange, ominous door. But so what are the themes that you've brought into the cafe? Because I think that they are definitely worth shouting about.
So we've got, as you go in, it's sort of an elven-y, medieval, Viking inspired area. So we've got like castle wall, we've got like ivy themed walls and flags and stuff like that. And then we've got a sort of Aztec-y, ruin, Mayan-y inspired sort of, I guess, sort of Indiana Jones explorer-y type room. There's still like bits we need to finish, but we got to a stage where like, we'll have to open and we'll probably do some more after Christmas.
It's going to keep evolving. Like, there's the way we see it now is like nowhere near what it's like in our heads, kind of thing. So it's going to keep evolving and changing over time, hopefully.
But it is this amazing space, and I know that currently only the downstairs is open, but you've got this like open-faced kitchen where you can see everything that's being cooked, which I love. Which I think is something that you don't get in many cafes. You don't get to see the entire kitchen, you don't get to see that island, you don't get to see the food prep and the people working. You've actually managed to tuck that into the corner so it's out of the way of the rest of the space, because the rest of the space is huge.
Yeah, a lot of it we had themes in mind, but the terms of how the space was laid out, we just kind of made it up as we went along in a way. Like we've got a Japanese area, and we just had some wood on the floor, and we thought, okay, that will sort of be that area.
Yeah.
And made a little raised floor area there. We brought back quite a lot of stuff from Japan, like lanterns and flags and decorations and stuff for that bit. And then sort of the spaceship bit, I think just because of the beams which were going along the top, we thought, oh, that might work quite well for being a spaceship as well.
Yeah, and it really has. And I think that something that is amazing that you've done is that you've made it fit to so many different, not just like nerd culture stuff, but to games that are run there, as well as people will walk in and instantly be like, oh my god, I love this is just like that. And I found out the crossbow fires on the wall, so I hope you remove the firing mechanism from that. However, like you've got like the little tavern area, which is amazing, like D&D inspired. You've got like the medieval castle area, the Mayan and the Aztec area, as well as the sci-fi and the Japanese area. And it's in this amazing shape where actually we were talking with the tags group, and actually I don't know whether that video will release before this video or after this video. We're going to record these and then schedule them out. But they talk about like how gaming halls and gaming clubs used to be a case of you walk into a massive hall and everybody's head turns to you and you're like, what?
This guy.
Yeah.
Exactly that, but your place is a lot less intimidating. Not only do you have the space to have like 17 wargaming tables, like 6-foot wargaming tables out, but also the fact that because you've got that J shape to the room, when you walk
it's a
in,
bit of a rabbit run, isn't it?
yeah, but it's not intimidating to people coming into the cafe. And I think that people who necessarily are coming to the area that are from either students coming down or new families coming down, or people who have maybe just finished school and are starting to go out more on their own with their friends, it's less intimidating than a lot of places. And because it's themed in each area, I personally find that it's a lot more welcoming, rather than just being like a generic open space where you go, is anybody sat there? And so you can clearly see it, and I think you guys have put amazing work into it. But what is currently run there at the moment? What can people expect to find if they were to come along to these evenings or during the day?
So currently on Mondays we have tags who kind of like the Tags Monday takeover. So they do all kinds of wargaming, sort of like 40k Age of Sigmar, Lord of the Rings, to some of the more like niche wargaming as well. And they generally fill up the venue on a Monday. So if you like any sort of tabletop miniature games, there'll probably be someone there who plays that.
Yep.
Tuesday, Wednesday, currently we don't have anything, but in the future we definitely will do. Probably get some board gaming nights and stuff going on.
Nice.
We had one last night as a bit of a test, and that was quite good. About like 17, 18 people come. Wednesday we've got Wizards and Warlords, so they do D&D and other TTRPGs, Pathfinder, that sort of stuff. And they're also there on a Friday, which is their main day. And then Thursday we've got Tin Squadron, who are X-Wing Miniatures Club. Are very into that, and probably one of the bigger X-Wing Miniatures groups in the area, I imagine, in terms of numbers.
Nice.
Quite religious about their X-Wing.
Yep. What people
and crosses.
But I mean, you say that, and actually you talk about tags and you talk about Wizards and Warlord. What people have got here are these clubs where during the evening time, you guys close the door and you say, okay, you can come in, but yes, there's going to be some kind of like entry fee for the evening, where it could be like, I think for tags it's a $5 for subs, and that goes towards obviously paying for rent of the place and stuff like that. But it's not a closed club. It's not like, no, you're not an official member, you can't come in. You're actually very, very welcoming of people to come in. Like, if you want to try X-Wing, come on in on
Part
Thursday
of the
night.
whole thing as well is creating a space where people can find this stuff, because we were saying how awkward it was having a shop for people knowing we're here. It's the same for all these different hobbies and clubs and stuff. A lot of them were like, some of them we didn't even know they existed till people turned up and said, do you mind if we can do this here?
And that's exactly why I want to run this series, is because trying to find things in Cornwall, like I didn't know there was a LARP group until a few weeks ago. Turns out that I was like, how is that like down the road from me? And there's a whole LARP sector. There's a Renaissance fair that happens, and I didn't know anything about that. And it's like, you don't find these things, like you say, until you kind of create that community. And with you guys doing that, I wanted to do this, and hopefully anybody who's watching that is like, oh, you know what, I really love the ships from Star Wars, I'd love to try out X-Wing Miniatures Thursday night. Or if you want to try D&D out, they do the intro sessions, you do Wizards and Warlords, and like they're all such welcoming people that hopefully this video maybe gets one person to come into the shop and the cafe and say, hey, I want to try a new game. We've won.
One of the things we want the space to be as well is, not some clubs are better than others, but sometimes people who are really into things
Rank them.
good.
If some clubs are better than
Not if I want to keep coming. Sometimes when people are really into things, they're not that good at, like, they're so focused on it that they're not good at welcoming or promoting themselves and getting new people to join. So we want to be a space where we can kind of introduce people to clubs as well, and sort of help provide that bit of service so we can promote them and help new people join them as well. And maybe cross-pollinate a bit between some of the clubs if people have shared interests.
And I think that for me is a big one, because I dabbled my hand in so many different, not necessarily clubs, but different games. And obviously, like, sat here in this room, like, you can see that, like, I've got like a huge TTRPG space, and I've got like Legion and also 40k behind you over there, and it's just like board games all under the cabinet over there. And it's like, because I'm just like, oh god, new thing, let's take that on. But actually, for me, like, I used to play X-Wing miniatures at tags years ago, and I didn't know that existed. It was only because I was playing it with a friend at somebody's living room floor, and we'd have to like mark out like a 3 foot by 3 foot area and be like, okay, I think that's where the asteroids are and stuff. Whereas, like, I then found tags and I was introduced to it, and I was nervous when I first went in, and they had places like Basbo Comics and the Legion, which obviously are gone now. We don't have those spaces, and now there's your space, and hopefully it carries on going for many, many years, because I think it is the perfect space. And I think it is great that you are trying to say, look, just come along, enjoy it, try it out, and everything like that. So what's in store with Happy Piranha now? Like, what's coming up that you think is like, this is what we want to do next?
It's largely, at the moment we're open and we're trying to gauge people's interest in certain different things. So it's not just the stuff that's already going on there, it's also if anyone, like you said, sitting at home with something they want to do but want more people to join in with them as well.
Yeah.
So if there's a club that's not on there at the moment, but maybe you want to start, or you want to see if people are interested in, just have a chat and bring it down, and maybe we can get like a community or a group.
Love it.
To start that with you.
Yeah, I think, because I imagine that you guys in the shop get tons of people coming through all the time to be like, hey, do you know anything about this? And maybe it's, I mean, I know that, Sam, you're really into X-Wing. I mean, like, really into X-Wing.
Not as much as the X-Wing guys.
Aren't you one of the Team Squadron X-Wing guys? Yeah.
I'm the worst one.
I'm just there because I have
This
to.
is the black sheep.
So, obviously, like, people must come in all the time, because you are one of the only shops around. There's a few, obviously, we've got like Game on Cornwall, we've got Geek Retreat, and I think there's one in St Austell that I've forgotten the name of.
Mad for Miniatures.
Yes, and
we used to go to Mad for Miniatures
back
when
in the
was
day.
it, 13, 14 Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. Yeah.
Nice. And then and there's also Modular Worlds in Newquay, but obviously, again, everything is so far apart. Like, if you're not driving, I mean, you guys drove here today, and what, you drove from Truro, it's going to take you 25, 30 minutes. Like, I'm in the back end of nowhere, but like, we're not like an open public space, but somebody to come from Newquay to you guys, or you guys to Newquay, that's 20, 25 minutes in a car, let alone 2 hours on a bus, which is the problem down here. It is literally like, we don't have the infrastructure to walk across the city to go to where you want to go. So I think having those like set nights, having those like community buildings of going, especially like when Geek Retreat was running, and also like the Falmouth events, when you're like, hey, yeah, cool, let's share the space with the other shops here, and let's build a community. You guys are so good at that. Like, I adore it.
It's also part of the benefit of everyone being so far apart. It means there's less places to go. So I think these communities form even like tighter bonds, because there's not so many places to go. You almost are kind of a bit forced to spend more time with certain groups of people.
Yeah,
rather than being like, oh, fine, I'm going to go somewhere else.
But hopefully nobody gets that vibe going into any of the Piranha stores, because I've never had that. But
like kind of local small village feeling is what I mean, rather than like.
It's surprising how much is going on for the small area as well. Really, the amount of clubs and people with interest that's come out of the woodwork.
I agree. I think it's the perfect time to be a nerd in Cornwall is now, because 5 years ago, like pre-COVID, Happy Piranha didn't exist then, did it? It was like just coming into existence, wasn't it?
A couple of years before that, I think.
There you go. So when did you open?
I'll have to look at Facebook.
It was like 2018.
Yeah, my problem is I can't remember. After 5 years, I just turn the clock of counting things off.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But so you have obviously like 28. So let's go back to 2018 then, when in Truro, we had TT Workshop. That was probably just in around its early days as well, I guess. I'm not actually sure when Vaughan opened it, but that's unfortunately gone now. Basbo Comics, unfortunately, is gone now. And then obviously COVID hit, and it was just like
closed.
See you later, Truro. Like, you know, good luck making it through.
Somebody reported us to police for having a Christmas tree outside the shop, didn't they?
Yeah.
What, during COVID?
Yeah.
What?
I thought, oh, just be a little bit festive. And they had a Christmas tree outside.
One of the
Right.
weird ones.
That's really strange. But, like, obviously, making it through that and then coming out the other side of it, and then we don't have many places left. We've obviously got Geek Fruit, we've got Game On, and we've got yourselves, which are the only ones that I can ever really get to. And obviously, Modular World and everything else like is on the other side of Cornwall. I don't find myself out that way. How do you find the growth in community has been since, obviously, the end of the dark times and the apocalypse, and now moving back into like, oh, we can actually be humans again?
I think there's way more people who maybe wouldn't have even been into it, especially with things like Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer, who got into it over lockdown as well.
Yeah.
So we get quite a lot of people who just come in who want to get into Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer and don't really know how, which is obviously why we asked you to help, because I cannot be a DM. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I think you'd be all right. It's fine. I don't think it's as convoluted as X-Wing miniatures can be. But then it's everyone's got their own systems, their own things, and I think that again is one of those things that you guys have done. Where you've gone, okay, well, we can't offer this, but we can find people who can. We can build a community, and again, I think you've hit the nail on the head by just trying to involve people from outside of yourselves, where it's not just you going, oh, this is my baby, I need to protect it. You've got, well, actually, we need to offer more. Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to promise the world if we can't, say we're going to provide it ourselves if we can't do it though, so we want to kind of find enthusiastic people who we can help support to do that stuff, because although we have an interest in nearly all the things we run, we don't have the time to run them all ourselves.
Time is a son of a bitch.
Need people to help. Yeah.
It's the same thing that, you know, it's the curse of us all, especially when you go self-employed or anything like that. It's a case that, you know, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'll get that done, and then 2 weeks later you're like, oh my god, where has that time gone? I need to get this done. And yeah, I think that it's great that you are including members of the community in helping run things. And obviously, like, we're very lucky in the sense that you've obviously, like, we've got to know each other, and hopefully I'm not that mad that you're like, oh god, keep him out of the store, because you've actually invited me in to help run some of the D&D intro sessions. And then, you know, if there was anybody else that we knew, and obviously Steph and Jack, who are cast members here, I was like, these guys are great. And obviously Matt from Wizards and Warlord, lovely guy, really, really sweet, lovely guy, who knows so much about Dungeons and Dragons that, like, he runs the Wikipedia for D&D. I mean, like, that's a lot of work.
And it's partly having like a bit of a high street presence with the shop. It's getting these people so they don't just have to do it at home, and actually kind of putting them in front of the general, not like on a stage, but giving them a bit more space, because a lot of people always come in, and whether like Tags are playing Warhammer or whatever, when they had their charity event, was like, oh, I had no idea this was still going. I had no idea this was cool. It's like, yeah, you come down.
Exactly.
You don't just have to play this at home. There's a place here where there's actually loads of other people as well.
I think that you're actually right there, and especially with Tags and the charity events and stuff like that. Because obviously, recently you had the 24-hour charity event with Tags, where it's 8 core guys from the Tags gaming group, the Trelawney Armies Gaming Society, I believe they're called.
Tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister, right? I was trying to write it down with my like dyspraxia, so I was like, how do you spell all of these words? But they obviously, like Dan and Matt and people who run that, were, you know, they were there as an excuse to basically go, right, we want to play games at 24 hours. And you guys offered them the space, and then they obviously, you know, raised money for charity, while also offering people who walked in off the streets a chance to go, yeah, we are still playing these games, and it's not a closed group. If you would like to come in and learn something, please do. Like, we want to share this with people, and it's, I think, this ethos that you guys have got, as well as, like, so many other local nerds that just want to be like, we just want to celebrate and share that energy that we have for this. And it's, I think it's the perfect space for.
As part of the reason behind that, just sort of theming it and stuff as well, I guess, was because, you know, say you could just play at home. Obviously, you get people like, oh, I don't want to come and play and do this, so I could play at home. It's like, but your home doesn't look like this. Your home doesn't have these facilities. All these people aren't there to play at home as well. And so, if you want to have a gaming space, I think you have to add that extra element to make people come there, rather than just, I could be playing on my kitchen table. Yeah,
and I think that playing on your kitchen table is absolutely fine. I did it for years. I mean, it's one of those things. But then, obviously, like, I've been very fortunate with this room and being able to turn it into an immersive gaming space. But what you guys have done with those themes is make several immersive gaming spaces that people can go, oh, so I can come down there, I can set up a game, and I can play it. To which actually brings me on to a very good question. Can people just come and book a table and go, I need a table for 4 hours, what's that going to cost me? Is that something that people can do with the cafe?
Yeah, so at the moment we're just asking people just to send us like an email or a Facebook thing, and we probably, well, almost certainly can just sort out a space for them at the moment.
Amazing.
One of the things we're planning on doing is making it a bit more organised, so you will be able to like book on the website, and there'll be set prices.
Like time slots and stuff, so people can go, right, I want to book out every Friday at 6 p.m, and then, prepay that up in
And we're
advance.
hoping to eventually provide a bit of the like scenery and bits and pieces like that, so people don't have to necessarily bring loads of stuff. It's not something we've got loads of at the moment, and they're more than welcome to bring their own stuff as well. It's just making it easy and accessible for people, especially if they are coming in on like the bus or whatever, and they don't want to carry loads of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that with Tags Gaming, the Truro Gaming Society, Tags, that they've got their own like club terrain and stuff like that. Which obviously, like if people go to Tags and you try it out, they will set up a table with terrain and minis and go, right, we're really into wargaming. Let's show you an immersive war game. And I think that that's awesome. With if you guys can offer. Go, right, okay, we want to get into this, okay, we'll find the right people to show you this, or we can show you this, and to have the access to stuff that people can then use, and if they book a space to go, okay, well, we've got a little bit of stuff here, like, at the moment, I know you've got the D&D white clean mats. That alone is more than a lot of people need for D&D, and, like, somebody who's made a lot of terrain over the years.
Really?
But you don't... This is all excess.
This was just here when you moved in.
Oh yeah, I was just lucky enough to happen across it. But you don't need any of this to play D&D. You need a book, you need some dice, all gettable through your store, or not. They can turn up with those things. Well, we just want to use the space. We just want to turn up and have somewhere to play. And if you can offer the extra things, I think that that's incredible. Because it's something that a lot of us don't have, or a lot of us don't have the space to do. A lot of like Cornish houses are railway houses, little like one up, one downs that have been split into 2 bedrooms, and it's just like, hi, we're playing in here. I mean, I don't know how. Like, you're obviously into X-Wing miniatures, but have you ever been into wargaming and stuff, Josh?
Not for a long time. I mean, every time I'm usually there with Tags on Monday night, so it might be something I get dragged into at some point. But we used to play the Lord of the Rings miniatures game, and Sam briefly dabbled in 40k. So I can imagine once that's all the building and organising sorted, we'll have a bit more time to try a few things out.
But with that, it's like being Cornish gentleman of the southwest, unlike myself, I'm assuming that like you've had the pokey rooms and houses when you were younger, trying to play board games and trying to play war games like Lord of the Rings and 40k, and going, oh, I've knocked everything over again because I've turned around, and coming away from that and into the space that you guys have got is absolutely incredible. So let's take it back a bit and talk again about Garden Geeks. I'd love to talk a bit more about that, because I think that's something that a lot of people, I don't think, expect that to be part of what is essentially a trilogy of stores that you guys have got. And Garden Geeks is your baby, isn't it, Josh? Which is, again, I think it's this really quite interesting and quaint little thing to have in Truro, that like you can turn up and it's not just like generic, here's a spider plant, which you get in many different stores, but like you've got themed plants and planters, and also like pots and stuff like that. I mean, tell us more about Garden Geeks and what's happening there.
Yeah, so we try and offer like a nice variety of stuff. Like, as you said, there's your average spider plants and stuff, which is all stuff we want to stock because they are all cool plants, but we also just like getting unusual bits in, because it's part of that same thing that I think there is in like wargaming and hobbies and stuff. There's that kind of collector's mentality to it. People start liking to get specimens and unusual bits and pieces, and we don't have some of the like rarest £1,000 plants and stuff in there.
Why not?
But even with like cacti and succulents, once you get one, there is almost a bit of this collector's element. Oh, I want to get that one. I want to see it grow. I want to see where it can go with that kind of thing.
Well, during like when I used to live up in York for a bit, when I worked up there, and I like collected cacti and succulents, we were both quite into plants and stuff, and those are the sort of plants we were into. Like now we don't really have any space to look after or grow them, so we just have things in the shop, and it's nice to have them in the shop. And
I was going to say, like, that's what you do now. Is like you go, okay, well, I've got all of these, so let's start selling them, and I can have them for a bit, and then I can change the collector. It's like changing your furniture, I imagine, is going, well, I'm done with this. Once they're sold out, we'll get this particular plant in next, and go from there. So, where did the love of plants come from then?
I Not too sure, to be fair. It's
know-
just I've always had that slight interest in them because a lot of plants are just kind of weird and unusual, and where, like I was talking about axolotls earlier going in a certain lake in Mexico,
Yep.
and where just some things manage to survive and how different they manage to become from other things.
It's very Jeff Goldblum with like that whole life
Yeah.
finds away.
I suppose cacti and succulents as well are sort of alien looking.
Yeah.
And I quite like succulents because it's quite symmetrical. And like there's a bit of a thing where if you grow one, it looks really symmetrical. It's quite satisfying. And you get all different colour ones, all different shapes and varieties, and they're quite easy to look after as well. So you can like go on holiday and come back, and they'll generally be fine.
See, I love that because I have the very antithesis of a green finger. In my mind, it's not for me. It's like it's not for me. And whereas my wife, my mother-in-law, and a lot of members of my family, they are really, really into plant life and into nature. And even like around the table that we have with cast members here, Tamsin is she comes from a family of botanists, and she knows her plant life and wildlife, and has done, I think, like work with like the wildlife trust and stuff to like, or the conservation trust to like preserve certain ferns and things, which is incredible. And I'm like, plant, leaf, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's one of those
Chewing
things.
it.
For me, it's a food. Like, I'm just like, oh, cool. I'm a pescatarian. I'm like, okay, so what plants can I eat and what can't I eat? Cool, done. That's about my extent of it. And I think the shop that you've got is really, really sweet and loving, and the people that you've got that work there, which obviously includes yourself and your staff members, seem to actually care about the plants. They seem to want, they don't just go, well, that's on the shelf, cool, leave it to die and stuff like
Yeah.
that and hope that it sells. But they can actually offer information on them. They can actually offer some modicum of knowledge, which I think is great because it's not just like you've stocked a shelf and gone.
Yeah, we want to give you a bit of information so you can hopefully have a bit of success with them. It's not like buy it, we hope it dies, so you come back and buy another one.
Which I think,
Yeah.
that's, I guess, is the kind of plant market, really.
But people do get an enjoyment of it. They buy a tiny little plant and they come back in and say, oh, I bought that plant off you and now it's like this big, and then
I feel there's like a certain zone you have to get in with plant care as well. When you first get them, I think you just overcare. And those are like if you're like have an obsessive personality, you're checking it every day. Does it need more water? And you generally just drown it, and then you come like, why is it dead? I've kept watering it, and it's like, well, that's why.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a certain like if you just slow down a bit and just go at the plant's pace, and there's a different enjoyment you can get about something which isn't instantaneous, but.
But you say at the plant's pace though, but like, I'll go outside and one day everything will be really short, then 2 days later it's rained and had half an hour of sunshine. I'm like, oh god, the tree, the bush, they're everywhere. And like, the plant, yeah,
roll them round.
yeah. I was like, what's happened? Like, but
You didn't notice 5 months went by printing a giant airship.
yeah, and that's the other thing. Is like, so I get the special interest with things, and I think you're right. It's if you can offer the knowledge and help people who maybe are getting into it and then getting excited about it, and I can only really relate that to 3D printing. You know, it was a hobby that I got into to facilitate my wanting to bring an immersion to D&D, and then went, okay, well, I'll deep dive on the internet. Go, right, how can I make my printing better? Okay, next printer. Okay, what's the next model up? And going from there, and how can I cultivate my hobby? And I think that Garden Geeks is this perfect place if people are getting into succulents and cacti and wanting to get into having plants, especially students. Because I mean, obviously, you've got a tiny student accommodation that's usually made of breeze block and got no personality whatsoever, apart from a cat poster that's probably got the words "hang in there" on it. It's left by the last person who probably just cried their eyes out trying to get a master's done.
Into the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that having the Garden Geeks, especially for people like students and stuff that might be coming down, I think is amazing, and especially if you can offer them that release of dopamine through having a hobby and going, oh look, I've cared for this plant, I've watched it grow and I've helped it grow. I think that's absolutely incredible. So coming across from Garden Geeks then, which is obviously a very interesting shop to have in the centre of Truro, we've then got Happy Piranha, which we've spoken a little bit about, and I'm going to come back to in a little bit because I think that obviously I know more about that particular place than the others. But then you have the pop-up, because you've not just got the cafe, you've got a tiny little phone box size room that sells hot drinks, caters for ice cream, milkshakes, boba tea, which again, to have all of these places in one area of town, I only really go up there because I'm like, right, straight to Happy, need to go get my bubble tea, and I'm done. But it's like, what is the pop-up, and like, how did that come about, and what's the future for that now the cafe's open?
So yeah, the cafe's such a big building, and we've been working on it for so long. I was like, hang on, we need to make use of at least part of this. So we opened up that tiny little the bit that's the pop-up, and we started selling like bubble teas, milkshakes, coffees, hot drinks, and we started to get a selection of like imported Japanese drinks and stuff in there. And it started off kind of as a way to try and tide us over and bring in a bit more supplementary income to try and fund the cafe.
Yeah.
So now the cafe's open, certain times of the year when it's quiet, we're going to close the pop-up bit and direct people inside where you can still get the takeaway and drinks and all that kind of stuff. When it's busier in town, we'll probably open the pop-up, so if you want to be quick and get a takeaway drink, you can pop in, grab it, have a quick chat. Whereas if you want to sit down and spend more time, relax a bit, you can come into the cafe.
Yeah. And do you still offer the discount if you buy in store with Happy, then going into the cafe or the pop-up? Because I know a while ago you did.
Yeah, not at the moment. I don't think we're doing that, but there is all kinds of discounts and membership schemes and possibly stamp cards and all that stuff we're going to look into as well to try and help people out who do support us, because we do really rely on them regular faces we see.
Yeah.
Because there's the summer trade, and then it gets to like after summer, this kind of period we're in now, where it gets a bit like tumbleweedy again.
Like in the shop waiting.
Yeah, and having worked in retail in Truro, and I suppose it's the same for anybody who lives in a tourist destination, is that you do have the summer months where you're like, cool, we're busy, oh my god, we're busy, oh my god, please, for the love of God, we're busy, please slow down, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
And it's just like one day, there's the apocalypse has happened, and there's nobody in town, and you're like, are we going to survive? Are we going to be all right? Is this what's happening? And yeah, so I fully get that, and I hope that with the cafe that it is a case that you do see the returning customer, because I think that you've got such a lovely space, and you're not exactly bad people. You're all right.
No.
Like, but that's the thing, is like, you know, even if behind closed doors, you know, you two, no, I'm sure you're not. You guys are, your whole family seems to be very welcome, and it is a family event, really. The whole business, isn't it?
Yeah, so everyone's involved. There's me, Sam, there's both our partners, there's our dad Martin, his partner, we drag in our other brother Isaac sometimes.
There's another twin.
No, not another
triplet.
twin. Nah.
That's not how it works here.
There's 3 twins.
I just have to do a lot of the building work. Yeah, but then whenever we're short on people, we even drag mum in, pack boxes, or just
Yeah, and
because there is that kind of, you know, unpaid labour as well that you can drag in a family member.
That's it. You say that live. You say that on the camera. There's unpaid labour.
That's the part of the reason why we managed to carry on going there, is because Dad, Josh and I just work stupid hours and don't pay ourselves for it, but that's what you have to do if you believe in something. And if you want to try and make it work, I mean, sometimes you can get lucky and have something which works straight away.
Yeah.
The hobby industry especially isn't exactly a lucrative one to have a shop in.
No, it's not. It's interesting because it's and I don't know if you guys find this, but the hobby industry is such an oversaturated market that everywhere seems to be selling something that you're selling as well.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do to that is to then have something niche or nuanced like Matt's glass and his artwork, which then brings me on to like the next point, which is like, you don't just have the generic stuff in there. You actually have like, you do the artwork for the mugs.
Yeah.
For a lot of the stuff that's in there. Then you've got all of this glass work that Matt's done, who's one of the other staff members, who I hope does get paid. Because speaking to somebody who's trying to do the whole self-employed thing, I understand the not being paid. Like it's impressive how quickly the business swallows that money back up again.
Which we do pay our staff. Yeah.
And you will tell the government nothing.
And there is an end goal as well to hopefully. We're kind of sacrificing now for that delayed gratification thing. So we're kind of just investing in it now, really, to try and hope to get it to more than it could be if we wanted to drain ourselves a wage out of it to start with. So
exactly, but you do pay your staff, and your staff seem, from what I've met, to be happy. And that's, I think, a huge thing there, is that they're not, you don't just see staff there that are like, oh God, another day. They seem to be either enthusiastic and or like you guys, and also want to be there, which I think is great. And yeah, I think that, yes, being a small family business and then trying to go further from what used to be a candle shop online to what is essentially 3 different faces of a business on a high street, which we don't know if it's going to survive, we don't know if it's going to die, we don't know what's happening in Cornwall at the moment.
It's like Fallout, just Happy Piranha in there.
It's just like the end of the world, but you guys are still going, hopefully.
Red Rocket fuel station, that is.
But it's scary times, because so many shops on the high street, And it seems like now for 10 years people have been saying this, that like so many shops on the high street come and go.
And nothing's being done about it.
No.
It's more and more expensive.
Which, you know, we can sit here and have political discussions about council rates and stuff like that all day long, and it's absolutely shocking when you go and deep dive into how much things cost a business to do things, and you're like, wait a minute, so you're going to triple your fees to me but not change anything? What?
Yeah.
It's like...
And there's the thing about you used to have to go into town to buy stuff, now you can get so much online, so we have to try and create a reason for people to come into town, because really, if I'm honest, if I say wanted to buy a pack of batteries and didn't have to get on a train and spend an hour and a half to, if I could order them online, I'd probably be more tempted to buy them online.
Yep.
So we're trying to create that bit. It kind of gives people an experience you can't get online, so a reason to come into town.
It's the thing with hobby shops as well. So for example, board games, which is one thing I'm into, you can get most board games cheaper from like Zatu Games or Amazon or something, but you can't go to Zatu Games, somebody tell you about the game, ask you which ones you'd recommend, tell you how to play them, and then you go home with one you actually enjoy, hopefully.
And I think that is a fantastic segue into it. Another thing that I think people should know about you guys is that you do have access to things like so many different board games, and I agree with you on the whole, like, I buy a lot of things online because I have so many anxiety issues with PTSD that I'm like, I don't want to go into town, I don't want to interact with people, but I do want to go in to be at your guys' shop. And like, especially with the cafe and with the fact that like, I could order WizKids minis online. I could. I want to come in and see you guys, and I want to get them from you guys because I freaking love your guys' store. So that's, I think, you know, you've got me. Hopefully, you know, that will happen with other people. And obviously, we've seen like that you've had to start stocking things like Warrior Prince 3D, who we do a lot of work with, and they sponsor us for a lot of shows. And again, building up that reason to come into town rather than having it online. And you guys have that online facility as well, should people not be able to make it in or travel that 2 hours on a bus to go buy a candle. You know, you hit the nail on the head. Would you travel 2 hours to buy a candle?
It's funny, a lot of our online customers aren't local customers, because obviously local customers just come to the store, but you get the other end of the spectrum where you get a load of people online who don't realise we're actually a little tiny shop, because we got like quite a big website with quite a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
People just think we're some massive store somewhere, and then they'll phone us up saying, "Can I speak to your head of customer services?" And it's like,
speaking.
He wants to take the phone call.
But it's and I think that's really, really fun and also funny, because you talk about things like Zatu, and I've bought loads of things from Zatu. I mean, I was literally on their website the other day, because you and I both buy things through Asmodee and through you know, things. But I try and, you know, use you guys for Asmodee where I can. But sometimes when they've got a deal on, I'm like, well, I can't really pass up on £10 for that, because that's it's like it. But they obviously are, and I can't speak for the company because I don't work for them, and it's only from what I can see from the outside. It's rumours, not slander. Is that you know, they are a huge distributor, one of the biggest ones I can see in the UK of things like board games, miniature games. You know, they've got not necessarily the monopoly, but they do have such a large like warehouse to store these things, and you guys don't. Which then brings us on to buying things through you guys, and a prime example of this is like sat there primed up is my Bad Batch minis, which you don't stock the Atomic Mass Transmission minis in store, but you were very happy when I came across to say, could you get these for me? So, yeah, of course we can.
Oh, definitely. Like a lot of hobby stuff is financially, it's not worth sitting on the shelf, because we'll sell a pair of like monkey-shaped bookends 10 times more, and we can sell them for better markup. Whereas like miniature games, there's no point in being there. But if somebody wants them, we'll happily order them in.
Exactly.
We can give them for a better price than they would if they were sitting on the shelf as well, clicking straight out the door. So
yeah, and so that's something that's definitely worth noting about Happy Piranha for anybody who might be trying to get into wargaming. Maybe if the Tags video is out first, you've seen that and you're like, well, I don't have any Legion stuff. These guys can order it. They can get it in for you, provided the stockists have got it. And it's a case that, you know, you guys have been very reasonable with the pricings on things. I don't think it's been like ridiculous. Whereas in the past, I've seen shops that have gone, you know, can you get this? And I'm like, nope, that's not what we've got on the shelves. That's it, done. And
bye.
I think you do have this lovely way of having like, yes, if you want to get like boxed minis and stuff like that, cool, let us know, we'll get it in for you. And what you actually end up putting out on your store mostly is either the alt lifestyle stuff like plushies and hats and stuff and wallets, which people when they come in go, that's really cool, I want to wear that. I mean, I literally have 2 hats from you guys where I walked in, I was like, need it, because it was there for me to grab and try on. And then you've got this whole section towards the back of the shop which is just like artisanal craft, which is amazing to see, because usually we see like small art galleries, or we see small little pop-ups in places where people go, oh, I make glass, therefore this is what we put here. But you guys have tried to encourage local artists and yourselves to put into the store and have this.
It worked kind of well when we first started as well, because you'd get like a family come in and you would get like someone would be interested into the geeky stuff. They'd go, right, I'm looking at the front of the shop,
Yep.
and they're like, Mum would go, I'm going to the back of the shop to look at this homeware stuff.
Yep.
And then the dad would be chatting to someone at the counter in the middle. So it's kind of like when you go into a big shopping mall and everyone splits up and goes into their individual little bits to look for their different stuff.
You definitely have to diversify, because if we just sold the homeware stuff, or we just sold the like pop culture or hobby stuff, it probably wouldn't work as a store, I don't think.
I think that it is this. There's always something interesting to look at there. It's not like you go in and go, oh, okay, well, I only want this section. You do find yourself walking around the rest of it and going, huh, this is...
I never knew I needed one of these.
Yeah, and that's, I think you guys are absolutely like raiding people's wallets by doing that. I think it's like, it's amazing. It's really quite fun. And I think even if, you've got no money and you end up in Truro, and go see the store and then realise there's things there like jewellery that you're like, huh, really want that and like, because you've just got this like amazing collection of things. Who picks the stock that you get?
We kind of all have a little bit of an input, and we try and pick things that we personally like as a kind of a bit of a guidance. But then we've also found it quite funny, because there are some things where we've kind of just had to let go with, where it's like something we really hate, but people seem to buy it, and there's something like sitting on the shelf and like, God, I hate that gnome with the umbrella over there, but people keep buying it, so you keep putting it putting it back on the shelf as well.
I called that one.
Yeah.
We recently got in some, they're like garden gnomes, but they had their butts out, and one had like an octopus and a crab on it.
Quite garish.
Yeah, they're disgusting. We'll have 12 of those, please.
But I mean, and that's the thing, is like, some people love that kind of novel. I think they make great gifts for people and stuff like that, and it's nice that you're not like so pretentious that you'd be like, oh God, no, I wouldn't stock that. It's just garish and horrible. And you're like, if people want it, we'll get it in.
Good for people to like things and be enthusiastic about things. Like, my opinion doesn't matter. Like, you like what you like.
And that is why I think Happy Piranha in the Cafe is going to do so well, is because it doesn't matter what you're into. Like, anybody who might be watching or might be going there, it doesn't matter. Like, you can have whatever interests you've got. You are going to be finding a welcoming space that you guys are just excellent at, I think, promoting that celebration of people's nerdship, which is really, really awesome. Which then, I suppose, brings us towards the back end of this little conversation, really, with ideals of looking forward to the future. What do you think is going to be coming for Happy Piranha? Like, are you seeing more charity events? What live events? What club member nights? What's happening that people can get in touch with and get on board with?
So we want, we've got a few clubs running that we've mentioned already. We do want any other clubs that are interested in possibly establishing themselves there. So there's like a regular bank of clubs that people can go to, whether it's weekly or drop in and out monthly or whatever. But yeah, we also do want to do lots of, whether it's one-off events for like charity or Halloween or Christmas, or to celebrate, say, the anniversary of D&D or whatever, just different stuff that's just kind of fun and entertaining. So it's not just a cafe and a shop, but also a bit of a venue where people can just do things they wouldn't normally get a chance to do.
So like coming up the day before Halloween, we've got an event coming up, for example, and so we've got you're there doing some like horror D&D, Steph's doing The Witcher's Dad. We've also got the local escape rooms, Enigma Escapes, they're coming along with some of their stuff, so it's quite cool having them like willing to come and do stuff and can kind of cross promote each other. We've got Player Ready who do the VR room, so they're coming and they're going to do some like zombie escape stuff as well.
That's cool.
So it's where we can work with other people in town to kind of help promote each other as well and put stuff on. And it's not any one particular theme, it's just a Halloween thing where we've grouped a load of people together who are interested in stuff to come along and have some fun, basically.
And that is, I think, everything that is needed in Truro, is the fact that you're working with other businesses and other nerd enthusiasts to then, offer the space out to be like, look, we're putting on a themed evening, or we're going to put this on. And I assume moving to Christmas, you'll do like Christmas themed ones, and then moving towards, like the new year and everything like that, I'm sure it will carry on.
Maybe next year.
But I think that's where we're probably going to close down this conversation. Quickly, where's the address so people can find you?
18 Pidar Street, Truro, TR12AY, and the way most people recognise it is opposite New Look or TK Maxx.
Like we said earlier. I will make sure that in the video below goes things like links to the website, any social media links, anywhere that you can find them, because I do my communicating with you guys via Instagram, yet other people I'm sure will be Facebook or the website and everything like that. Is there anything else really that you guys would like to say about Happy Piranha before we go?
No, I don't think so. Just if you've got any questions or anything, we don't bite, and just feel free to pop in and have a chat.
Yeah, I second that. Thank you so much,
Thank
Josh
you.
and Sam. We're going to close down this video, and hopefully we'll see at least one person coming to the shop off the back end of this. Thank you very much, everybody who might be watching. May this Dice Cast be ever in your favour, and take it easy. Bye now.
Bye.